Today we have a special report on the continuing controversy in East Haven over the postponement of property revaluation. Mayor Matoro has taken an uncompromising stand against postponement. We now turn to our senior property revaluation reporter, Justin Time, to give us some background.
Thank you, Brian. It all started out innocently enough. Some of the local citizenry of East Haven banding together to petition their elected town council to have their property tax revaluation postponed. The town council, led by Republican Chairman Ken McKay, refusing to even discuss the matter. The supporters of postponement brought together some leaders of the East Haven community with decades of experience in government to bring their case to the people through an annoying little show on public access cable. Their rather amateurish presentation bored even those who supported their position. It was ignored by everyone. Everyone but Mayor Matoro. He was so moved that his diminutive minion, Frank Gianolesco, took time to have their duties running the town of East Haven to respond on the government channel. They had a program so vicious, so incomprehensible, that they can rightly ask if they were having some psychotic moments when they did the show. Back to you, Brian.
Psychotic moments? How can you say that, Justin?
Easy, Brian. Take a look at this clip.
And again, the lower taxes on your automobile are not going to offset the taxes you might be paying on your car.
Can you play that again, please?
And again, the lower taxes on your automobile are not going to offset the taxes you might be paying on your car.
That's right. He said lower taxes on your automobile are not going to offset taxes you might be paying on your car. How can you explain such incomprehensible babbling if the mayor wasn't completely mentally incompetent?
Well, Justin, that's nothing but a simple misstatement. We all make them. Even you make them. You can't say that they're completely mentally incompetent just because you misspoke.
Brian. That show was on tape, just like this one. When we make misstatements, we just do a retake. But if that were all, I might agree with you. But take a look at this clip.
So again, I feel pretty convicted.
How do you explain that, Brian, if the mayor and Mr. Gianolesco weren't a little out of it?
Well, maybe he thinks convicted and convinced are actually the same word. Even though they have grossly different meanings, they do at least sound the same a little.
Well, I prefer to think of it as just a mental disease rather than total, utter lack of intelligence.
Okay, Justin. I can give you the possibility that the mayor and one of his top aides are not totally sane. But what about the substance of their arguments? They do make a valid case against postponement, don't they?
Not at all, Brian. It is obvious that the mayor will say anything to avoid postponing revaluation.
He will say anything? Isn't that a little strong, Justin? I mean, you can't say that he'll say anything.
Yes, Brian, he will say anything. He was trying to disparage the work of Mike Lawler and said this.
Maybe that's why the state of Connecticut and their budget is in the predicament that they're in.
Well, the state legislature, with Mike Lawler as one of the leaders, worked hard to produce a budget last year that has resulted in a budget surplus for the state. The Democrat-controlled legislature seems to have produced a pretty good budget. That seems like a pretty blatant attempt to mislead the public to me by Mayor Matoro. But that's not all, Brian. The mayor also said that none of the people that were on the show put on by the supporters of the postponement had ever done a budget. This is just outright false. Mike Lawler is chairman of the Judiciary Committee for the state legislature. I'm pretty sure he's been involved in budgets for the state. Marilyn Vitale was a member of the town council for 6 years and the Board of Education for 6 years. I'm sure she worked on budgets. Walt Lynn was a town assessor. I'm sure he worked on budgets. It's a big lie, Brian.
I don't think you can say lie, Justin. It seems to me that the mayor is just shading the truth a little. He's trying to put the best spin on a position that is otherwise indefensible.
That is possible, Brian. But the mayor does seem to be painting himself into a corner with his show. At one point, he challenged his opponents to a debate. Show the clip, please.
If there's anybody out there who wants to question me on this, who wants to debate me on this.
It seems to me like the mayor is ready to defend his position. He must really believe in it.
Maybe, Brian. But a lot of people want to take him up on the offer.
Did he really say that he'll debate anybody, anywhere, anytime? Because this 8-year-old is ready.
It sure looks like he's going to have his hands full trying to defend himself on this issue, Justin.
True, Brian. I can't wait to see what he says to get out of this. Back to you.
Thank you for the report, Justin. Now we're going to turn to the senior economics correspondent, Amy Bees. Amy, the mayor and Frank made a spirited defense of their position in the tape. They seem to take great glee in going after the supporters of revaluation. Amy, Mayor Maturo seems like he has a good economic basis for not postponing revaluation.
Thanks, Brian. It does seem like a good argument, and he sure attacks his opponents for saying interest rates might be rising. He argues, how could anyone know what is going to happen in the future? Play that clip, please.
Again, if they know those facts and figures, maybe they should be working for Alan Greenspan.
I don't think you need to work for Alan Greenspan to know the facts and figures about rising interest rates. Maybe if you're getting your information from USA Today, rising interest rates may come as a surprise to you. But if you read business publications like The Economist, you would know rates were rising. From their July edition, let me quote, "When the Fed finally raised interest rates by a quarter point on Wednesday, June 30th, no one was much surprised. It was only doing what it had all but said it was going to do. No one was surprised but Joe Maturo."
Well, Amy, a publication, even one as well known in the field as The Economist, could easily be mistaken.
That is true, Brian. But let me quote Bloomberg. With an expected rate increase in September, they noted that the Fed follows its plan of a measured pace of rate increases. And there's more. Rebecca Byrne from TheStreet.com said the Federal Reserve is widely expected to raise interest rates for a third time in September. Apparently, Mayor Maturo is the only one unaware that interest rates are going up.
Thank you, Amy. It does seem like Mayor Maturo needs to read something other than USA Today for his economic news. This has been a special report on the ongoing reval battle in East Haven. I'm Brian Smith. This has been an Ed Foley production, and now back to our regular programming.
Is there regular programming? Oh.
Yes.
Yeah, at least one.